Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. In this week, we have with us somebody whose name I will surely murder. That's Sjoerd Nijland. Hi, Sjoerd. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Vasco. I hope I'm saying it correctly this time.
Yes, yeah, that's good. That's good. So, how bad was it, the butchering of your name there?
I know it was pretty good. Thank you. This is very good. It's like Stewart, but then the T is a J.
Yeah. Very good. I'm sure I'll get better by Friday.
No worries.
Sjoerd is the founder of Serious Scrum, a very popular Scrum publication on Medium. He's a PSM 3. He's on the road to mastery co-creative online training. Can you give us just a few words? What's that road to mastery co-creative online training, Sjoerd?
It's actually a bit of an experiment to do a new kind of training. It's an online training, so you can do it from your home or from your office, and you can join in. And it's a weekly recurring training, similar to like a sports training for Scrum Masters or product owners or Scrum developers. And they can join in. And we co-creatively kind of create the training with other Scrum Masters and journey through the training. And it's a train-the-trainer kind of program where you learn not only to your own understanding of Scrum, but you also increase your capability of teaching others about Scrum and being a better Scrum Master or product owner or practitioner in general. So it's very co-creative. It's a lot of fun. We use Miro as an online collaboration board, and we have a really amazing group, international group, people from all over the world that join in. And the fun thing is that it's really by and for Scrum practitioners.
All right. And we'll definitely put the link on the show notes for those that want to know more about that online training. So Sjoerd has also been an e-commerce manager at Bugaboo and now manager of operations at the Digital Agency Triggerfish. So Sjoerd, that was a short intro, but we really want to know, how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Yeah, well, it started some time ago at that company called Bugaboo, which is a global stroller brand. And we embarked on a mission to implement e-commerce worldwide. And it was a big challenge because we had to get the product, the stroller, which is highly configurable, to the customer's doorstep all over the world. And we had about 6 months of a time span to achieve that in. And we were all departmentalized. We had product marketing and brand marketing and IT and logistics and supply chain. And we had all these different vendors all over the world and offices all over the world. And everything was set up kind of to be, logistically towards retail, but not towards consumers. And in the beginning, it was a nightmare to kind of manage this because you were dealing with all these silos. And communication was very difficult and took a long time. We had Russian doll contracts, like contract within contract, vendor to vendor to vendor, before we could actually reach the specialists needed to achieve something. And that was really difficult. So we kind of reorganized towards an e-commerce team, and we brought the specialists together and empowered them with pretty much a blank check budget and full travel compensations, and just to get people together and working together. So specialists from different vendors would work together, people from different departments would work together. And that kind of reorganization kind of introduced its own challenges. But it was really a difference between night and day. Things that would be impossible at first or would take months could now be done in just a matter of days. And that really got the energy going, making it possible. And that was really fun. And this is, I guess, kind of also how we got introduced to Scrum, because we needed a way to organize ourselves or self-organize. And it kind of started off with a half-a-day Scrum training. And I decided to take up Scrum courses myself, and that's how I rolled into it.
Absolutely. I like the term Russian doll contract. I've never heard that before, so definitely that's a very interesting term. I'll refer that to Jacopo. Jacopo Rome is a friend who's working on writing an extreme contracts book, and I think that he will definitely appreciate the the metaphor here. Thanks for that. So, Sjoerd, now we dive into a story of a difficult moment. I mean, we as Scrum Masters, obviously, we meet many difficult moments in our journey. That is part of the learning journey that we go through. So, Sjoerd, walk us through one of those moments. Share with us the aspects that you went through, the learnings that you had. But before we dive into the learnings, tell us that story of a difficult moment you had as a Scrum Master.
Well, I think, a while back, I joined this agency as a Scrum Master. I kind of applied as a Scrum Master. And after a few weeks, the teams and management really started to learn about Scrum, what Scrum actually was, because they were saying they were kind of agile. They were saying they were like practicing Scrum, but then they realized that, oh boy, this guy is actually really serious about all this Scrum stuff. And they hired me as a Scrum Master only to kind of realize that Scrum might not be what they wanted. They wanted project managers, not Scrum Masters. They didn't want to kind of have those.
What gave you that hint, though? Because that's something I've heard many times, and I'm sure you've heard that also many times. But what gave you the understanding, the insight that they didn't really want Scrum Masters, they wanted project managers?
Well, kind of they wanted project managers that would tell the people what to do and to make them extremely productive. They were not really able to determine themselves how they would go about doing the job. The events were considered kind of a waste of the time. Pairing would also be considered wasteful because you have two guys on one story, that must be really inefficient. It's that kind of culture that is really just resource driven, resource efficiency, and keeping people busy and keeping them kind of, you just don't do anything strange. That kind of culture, and I think that that's something that I think many agencies experience, but they want to have full control over what's going on and afraid to let go and empowering others. I think that's
wanting to control everything and being afraid of letting go. What could go wrong with that attitude?
Yeah.
So tell us, Sjoerd. So how did the story evolve? So you realized they wanted project managers. What happened next?
Well, I guess it was a slow. They wanted me to pivot to Agile Coach instead of Scrum Master because they felt okay, want to be more flexible with this. Maybe what they would say, less dogmatic about it. And I said, okay, well, fine, but I'll Scrum on anyway. So kind of just being a bit cheeky about that, being a bit rebel, and just work with the teams and make it work for them, and work with the project managers they had, and doing training with them, what is the Scrum Master really about, and why does the Scrum guy say what it says? Because as soon as they started learning the why behind it, they could understand why they're doing what they're doing, right? So it made sense. They had purpose, and that changed a lot. We had in the beginning they were doing lots of projects at the same time, and every individual was working on his own individual thing. So we started working with sprint goals, where you just have a team dedicated to achieving a goal, and they all had to work together in a very short time span, like a week, to kind of create a first version of a new website, and let them work together more naturally in that sense, not all planned out, not all the tasks pre-assigned, just basically ask a question, how can we achieve this, and just trust the team to do it. And
how did people react to that, though? Because I imagine the project managers weren't very happy with that approach.
They were no, the first not, and were a little bit okay, but they were let's give it a try, just to experiment. So we actually had this one project that kind of forced this kind of a change. We had to kind of create an app in a week time from concept, from the request that we were given. It had to be done in a week. It was for a major brand, a beer brand. And that really challenged us. So I say, okay, we don't even have the time to plan out everything. We just have to say, okay, this is what we want to achieve. We get the right people together who can do this, and then just trust them to get the job done. And we'll see how it goes. And I guess that was the proof that we needed to say, okay, this can work. So you needed proof, and you needed the freedom to experiment, and that's the foundation that you need.
Absolutely. This story kind of reminds me of one of the, I would say, nagging feelings that one has, especially in organizations that have this project managers, that, you know, whatever we do, somebody will come in and they will destroy it because they just want to control everything. And you know, I've started also working with sprint goals and trying to focus on that. But I think that the story kind of brings us back to this, that the need to work in a certain way can't be artificial. It has to be real. Like you guys had that app in a week need, right? So we have to cast the change. We have to cast these better ways of working in a form that delivers a benefit for the business, and not just because we want to work in a better way. That's at least what I can take out of this story. How about you, Sjoerd? What do you want our listeners to take out of this story?
Like I think what they want to take out of it is the project managers, they've learned doing something in a certain way, and it's fairly successful in that sense. They've always been doing it. It's what helped grow their business. So to approach it differently and actually saying that, okay, you shouldn't do some of the stuff that you're doing right now, kind of makes them feel insecure, because, hey, I'm a project manager. What happens to my role? What are you saying? Am I not being valuable if it's what I'm doing not right? So there's this insecurity, I guess, and that's something that you just want to have them experience how differently it can be if they change, if they're more open-minded and work together more with the team, and let the team kind of figure out how to do the how and what, and let the project manager figure out the why and for who. And in that sense, collaborate with the team to being part of the team and experience that. So it's even more valuable to be a project manager in that sense. And I hope that the only way to kind of convince them is to have them experience that.
Exactly. And to have stories like this, obviously. That's why we record one every week. All right, Sjoerd, that was a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, awesome.
Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests helped their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.